Development and Employment Committee. Okay, I'm going to read a remote meeting announcement so everyone understands the protocols here. The meeting, I'm calling it to order, and recording will begin. The time is currently 6:08. Okay, do we have recording started? Okay, excellent. Okay, the meeting of the Economic Development and Employment Committee of Brooklyn Community Board 2 is called to order and is being recorded for public access and archiving in accordance with the New York State Opening Meeting Law. In the practice of CB2 to conduct remote meetings with all committee members, cameras on. So we need all cameras on for committee members. Okay, public attendees are also encouraged to leave their cameras on, particularly if you're given the floor to speak. All attendees, please keep your microphone muted when you're not speaking. To maintain appropriate discussion and voting process, I will make it known when and which topics are open for comment by committee members, board members at large, and the general public. If you have questions that fall outside of public comment time, please type your questions in the chat panel and we will address them as time permits. You may also email the district office at any time outside of these meetings. We are committed to providing access for all our neighborhoods regarding the physical ability or limitation, okay, or our neighbors, sorry, regardless of physical ability or limitation. If you require accommodation or assistance for full participation, please contact the district office 72 hours before any public meeting. The committee secretary will now conduct a roll call. Members should speak their name with their camera on. Okay. Are you able to do that?
Sure. I'll start. I'm Kate Yearwood-Young, committee member and board member, standing in as acting secretary today. I guess Lindsay, do you want to go next?
Sorry, it's a new rule, Bill, so hopefully we'll implement it next time with cameras. I'm not set up today. But this is Lindsay Einhorn. I'm a community board member and general board member.
And Latrell? Latrell, are you able to unmute and introduce yourself? Maybe she can't unmute right now.
Hi.
Oh, hi.
Hi, my name is Latrell, and I'm community board member. And I'm trying to unmute my camera. Sorry, it's not working.
No worries. Bill, I think that's everyone.
Yeah, for right now, that is everyone.
Now.
I have two individuals who are currently going to be out. That's Ms. Peterson, she's excused, and also Kate is also excused.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, with that, okay, we'll now go to the agenda for the Economic Development and Employment Committee. Let's see now, I want approval of the agenda. May I have a motion to approve the agenda?
Motion to approve.
Okay, and Lindsay. Okay, so moved. Okay, today the presentation, the first individual up for presentation is Job Path, and I believe Job Path is regards to autism and other developmental disabilities. Ryan Finger, Director of Intensive Services, will speak. Ryan?
Great. Hello. Hopefully I don't have too many technical issues. Can everyone see the first slide? I believe so.
No.
Mr. Finger, go ahead and choose at the upper left-hand corner, choose share.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Let me.
And then share content.
I'm sorry. I don't want to share content.
That's right.
Oh, okay. Okay. Here we go.
Great. It's loading.
Okay.
Still loading.
Oh, it's still loading.
Go ahead.
Can you see the customized employment slide?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. Well, thank you for having me. My name is Ryan Finger. I am the Director of Intensive Services at JobPath. At JobPath, we are a not-for-profit agency, and we help individuals with developmental disabilities find employment. We work in 4 boroughs of the city: Manhattan, Queens, the Bronx, and Brooklyn. I'm a Clinton Hill resident, so I'm very excited to be connected with you guys tonight. And my hope is that after I tell you a little about what we do, we can be thought of as a resource for you in the future, for employers to reach out to us in the future, and for also residents who might be coming into our program if a family member has a developmental disability for employment. Our services can help them. But I'd really like to reach out to the businesses tonight and just let us know about ourselves being a free resource for you. We operate on a model called customized employment. And customized employment, as defined by the Department of Labor, is the process of creating a unique job description that meets the employer's needs and aligns with the job seeker's skills. Through our process, we are trying to create unique and individual that are beneficial for an employer and can match the unique talents and strengths of our job seekers who are too often looking for traditional employment. Our process is when an individual comes to us to seek a job, an in-depth discovery process with them, learning their interests, skills, and strengths. During this time, we are getting to know them very well. We are touring their neighborhoods, including all of the neighborhoods supporting Community Board 2. This discovery time, we are finding out connections in the community. We are getting ideas and brainstorming ideas for what they can offer for their first job. Many of our job seekers have never been able to join the workforce because of either their disability or never having the opportunity. During this process, we are targeting specific employers that, based on their interests and skills, we believe would be beneficial. The counselors at our agency then reach out to these employers, tell them about the program, and see through a free consulting if their business could by some of the talents of our job seekers. And our ultimate objective is to create a new job that benefits both the employer and the job seeker. We target all different types of business needs. They could be unmet workplace needs, perhaps tasks that are specific employee competencies. Just some of the ways customized employment addresses, we look at daily tasks that are reducing staff productivity, work that is backing up, perhaps back burner, perhaps a staff with a certain degree is doing tasks that might be more entry level and their skills could be used elsewhere, while a job seeker could be focusing on some more perhaps entry level tasks, but it doesn't need to be looked at in just that fashion. I'll give you some examples of just to show how we work. This is a young woman I work with. A few years ago, she came to
Mr. Finger, you're breaking up. I don't quite have your audio. I think we just lost him. I believe his connectivity is a little off.
That's correct. Mr. Finger's
through
error.
Through the discovery process with her and reaching out to employers, we found an employer need at Clyde Frazier Restaurant, where when I spoke with the manager, when asking about what could be enhanced at her restaurant, what would be a great asset, she said, well, I'm coming in at 8 a.m. every day and spending 3 hours just counting the wine and liquor inventory from what was used the night before. I don't like getting here at 8 a.m. I'd rather get here at 10 or 11, or use that time elsewhere, because there's so many different things that entail running a restaurant than doing this monotonous task. Well, I said, I know a very young woman who's very talented. She has computer skills and loves playing video games and would love to learn something like this. And we were able to create a job just for Jessica where she uses a scanner, this AccuPar device. She goes behind. The manager gets to sleep in a little longer or on days come in, focus on her task. And what Jessica does is creates a report of all what's the wine and liquor inventory and see what needs to be ordered. And from that, they are never low on any of their expensive bottles of wine, so they maximize their profits. They are always able to sell something that's on hand. She's so talented and so good that when the manager got transferred to a different restaurant, El Rio, she demanded that Jessica be able to come with her. So now she works 2 jobs. Her skills were just such an asset, and it just was such a morale booster for her coworkers as well. This gentleman, his name is Randy. Randy's been with us for many years, came to us. Very, very aspiring young guy, wanted a chance to have a job in the community. He actually works now at Myerson Associates at a law firm. He now started when he first started. Well, it was a back burner project of all these documents that needed to be scanned, because at Myerson Associates, at the law firm, they could not simply
Mr. Finger, we lost you again.
right within his energy level, and when he's giving his best, they're very happy, because these back burner projects that was taking up a whole room, he actually scanned everything, and he's on to doing some different tasks now because he's been there a few years.
Finger,
this
do
is
me a favor, please. I sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but we lost
sorry.
you there for a second. Could you go back again and repeat what you just said?
Yes. To Randy?
You can start right here. That's perfect.
Okay. Yeah. The gentleman who is just finished the scanning project and is really enhancing their bottom line by having someone take care of these needed files and letting the other paralegal and legal team do their duties. And I'll give one more example, because I know I don't want to take too much time, but I want to make sure I can share just a different example of our job seekers and different roles they've created. Caden I've known for many years, and he has an incredible art skill and artistic ability. He is at an advertising agency, Forsman and Bodenfors in Soho, and he actually makes greeting cards for new staff within their HR department, as well as anniversary cards, and he decorates them and personalizes them based on their own specific interests. The company wanted to create a feeling of being at home and create up the morale of their team members. He's really beloved because if you work there, you're getting a personalized card, and we're able to add tasks. He does an inventory of different items that the office purchases as well. So it's been really great. He works about 10 hours a week. Many of our jobs are part-time and perhaps lower, between 10 to 20 hours a week, but that's not necessarily a case across the board. And the thing that makes our services very unique is that, to be sure to enhance the experience, we are there as trainers, as job coaches, to acclimate them towards the job. Our job seekers have perhaps either autism or other developmental disabilities, and we want to acclimate them to the workplace as best as possible to give them that extra bit of training. The idea also is to let the employer focus on their other tasks and not feel the need to extra time training. We're there as long-term consultants, especially when someone grows for a while and wants to learn a new task. We can go in there. So I'm the individuals I just mentioned, I still visit them about twice a month just to check in, and I'm always available. And there's lots of ways businesses can needs. The business themselves can provide an assessment to get some ideas. The staff ourselves can perform an assessment. We've done this by giving tours or being able to observe some of the day-to-day activities. But perhaps the most common is just together through collaboration. We assess together through conversation, collaboration, and traditional negotiation to see what would be a great match, and if there is one. And if there's not a great match, that's okay too. We never want to that's not there. We want it to make it very successful for both the employer and our participants in our program. These are just some different examples of different types of businesses, of some of the tasks that Job Path individuals are working on. We are partnered with about 170 different employers right now in New York City. And so there are many different types of jobs, and we're not limited to one industry. It's based on the needs of the business and the skills and strengths of our individuals. So these are just some, but by no means limited to just these tasks listed. And ultimately, our goal is we want our individuals to be fully accepted as team members and help them join the workforce and be treated as equals. These are just some of the companies who we are partnered with that we have great long-term partnerships with. And again, I hope that we can be thought of in the future as you think about needs that are within your own business, or if you could connect us with a business that would be interested in partnering with an agency like ours. We have many talented job seekers, and we'd love to tell you more. At JobPath, we're actually part of a consortium for customized employment, so we're partnered with other not-for-profit agencies in New York City. So we have a lot of different, a big talent pool, and our funding is a combination from Access VR, as well as OPWDD, which is the Office for People with Developmental Disabilities, funded by New York State. So our goal is to have people join the workforce. We want it to be meaningful employment. We want it to be tasks that are of a great asset to you, not to be charity by any means. We want this to be a real job that's really going to help you. So we are here as a free consulting for you. And so we hope we can be considered for you in the future.
Okay, is there anything else? Have you completed your presentation?
That's the end of the presentation. I can take off the sharing mode if you have any questions. I'll be very happy to answer.
Yes, I'm sure we're going to have a couple questions here. Thank you very much. That was very informative. I do
Great.
appreciate that.
Thank you, Bill.
One of the questions I'm curious about right off the fact, Mr. Finger, or may I call you Ryan?
Sure.
Is, for instance, you mentioned a number of companies and also the different types of potential jobs that they can do, the individuals that you're working with. Let me ask you a question. If a company is interested in this, or if you are looking to do outreach, how do we go about doing that?
I think the simplest way is contact me directly, and we can have a conversation on the phone or through these means too, and to start the conversation of saying what are these exact skills you are needing for, and through discussion see if we can find someone that matches it. I think that would be just the first stop. It takes a couple conversations before we realize this is what the job's going to look like. This is the good match. But it's just through one-on-one conversations, really.
Okay. And do you have individuals who are currently looking for work?
Yes. Right now, especially during this 2020, many of our job seekers are once you've had and are hoping to return, we have many job seekers too. So we have those who are hoping to get back, but we're looking at other options as we go on, as the realities of the economy are in November of 2020. They do want to return to work, but we have many job seekers who've been looking even before the economic turnaround that we've experienced this year.
Okay. And as far as pay is concerned, who is responsible for paying these individuals?
So it would be on the employer, and it would be based on the skill level. We want it to be competitive, the strengths they're bringing, and the tax. So it would have to be on the books and at least of minimum wage according to wage laws. But we want it to be competitive and fair to their other coworkers. That would be fair. I mean, many of our individuals, this is our first job, so entry level pay would be fine for some. But we have time and might be wanting to expand their career and maybe go on to that next step as well, because we follow people for the long haul and we want career advancement. So we have a wide array. So some people might be worth that higher pay.
Okay.
And we can look at that
like
individualized basis.
Yeah, the one individual you mentioned, the young lady who was asked to continue working with the manager is an example. Okay. Finally, is there any limitations as far as travel is concerned?
No, it depends. We're looking at, we do want to keep it in New York City. And have an offer in Long Island or New Jersey, and we'll have to. It's unfortunate we can't take you up on that offer. So if we're looking at Brooklyn, if someone's there and the individual can get there on a reasonable, fair commute, like just like you or I, everyone here would seem reasonable and is of their comfort, then that's what we're kind of looking at.
Okay, thank you. Is there any other questions from other committee members? Okay. Okay, I see that in the chat section, we have your link to your organization as far as your organization website.
Oh, great. Yeah, terrific.
Okay.
And everyone here can feel free to email me with any questions because I've heard so many, I've heard them all. So please feel free and comfortable doing so. And if maybe we can talk on the phone sometime soon. Yeah, it's a little easier.
Bill,
Sure,
I'm sorry, I had trouble unmuting for a second. Do you mind if I ask a quick question?
by all means, Lindsay, yes.
Thanks. Ryan, I'm curious if you guys have additional capacity. I know you know the job market being what it is. If the community board and members of the community were to link to you on social media and suggest that people come and check you out, what's your capacity looking like these days?
In terms of new job seekers coming to the program or in terms of finding employers?
So I think a lot of people on the board have the capacity to do both, and maybe if you speak to where you're looking for more capacity and where you might be a little stretched.
Well, because our program is very, very unique, we do have a waiting list of people wanting to come into our program because we're doing a individualized, unique process. But those people are all more than welcome to learn more about, and I'm always happy to share about what we do. If I could be connected to more employers, we have so many different job seekers, and we have a really strong employment counselor teams that we can welcome quite a bit right now, and especially with the number of our participants who've been furloughed, that's really opened up than we would have been this time last year. So there is actually quite a need. So the more employers who would love to just have a conversation without feeling they have to commit to anything, but just to learn a little bit more about us, be very happy to entertain as many as possible.
So maybe the platform that might be most helpful is if those of us on LinkedIn were to post on LinkedIn to our networks.
That'd be wonderful. We've been using LinkedIn a lot more these past few years. That would be a wonderful resource if it could be shared there. That'd be great. Thank you, Lindsay.
Hi, this is Latrell. Can I ask a question, Bill?
By all means, Latrell.
This sounds like a really great program. How long is the waiting list for individuals?
It does. It's a hard. It can be right now. It's a little longer because of what's going on. So some people are waiting a year and a half to get into our program, and the reason there is such a wait is that again, because we're doing one-on-one work. If we open the door and have everyone come at the same time, we can't continue to give that same quality as much as we'd like to. And by keeping it a smaller program, we can make sure we can get those people those right fitting jobs. So year to a year and a half, it might be swelling on the longer side of this year and people coming onto the waiting list.
And also you said that individuals can move up. What's the ratio of individuals who moved up in the company that they started in?
It's actually pretty high. Our retention rate is about 82% at the first year. So after the first year of them starting the job, they're still there. And we're always there because we're continually following up with the employer to make sure everyone's happy and everything's being addressed. We are always pushing for career advancement within a company, new tasks, perhaps more hours, different responsibilities, just like any here would want to be challenged more and go up the ladder. So I don't have an exact number of what that is, but I can say that our retention rates is very strong.
And yeah, so y'all stay with the individual the whole time? Like, is it a cutoff time, or do y'all stay with the individual from the time they get the job to? I don't know if you responded to this earlier. I'm sorry, I may have missed it. But do you follow them? Like, say if they're there for a year, do you still stay with them for that year? Or do you continually to use a support system for them if they have any concerns?
That's a fantastic question. Yes, we stay. So that's the great thing too, and why our waiting list might be so long is because we want to have someone feel independent as possible on the job. So we are So if I'm working with, say, the young woman Jessica, who's that example earlier, doing the inventory of the liquor and the wine bottles at the restaurant, I'm there with her one-on-one as she gets acclimated, getting into a rhythm. I was travel training with her the first couple of days just to make sure she knew her route in the subway. As she got more and more comfortable, I'm fading back. Maybe I'm coming in halfway through the shift. I'm in discussion with her supervisor and her to make sure everyone's comfortable with that, letting her learn. And now we eventually fade back about twice a month. So every other week, I'm just checking in real quick just to make sure all is good. We're always, but some people might need a little more support based on needs. And so some people we're providing more support for them, whatever is needed. But we are there for the long term. So some people we're supporting, 10 years along the job, but we're just checking in. And sometimes it's just a very friendly chit chat with the supervisor, not much going on. But especially for that career advancement part, we're there to help them guide and maybe help them and guide them to self-advocate for themselves, to ask for a raise perhaps, or to ask for those extra days or tasks they want to work on. So we are there as counselors to help them gain independence in their roles and in their lives.
Thank you.
Very welcome.
Okay, if there's no more questions. Okay. Mr. Finger, thank you very much. If you want to, in the chat, if you want to put your email so people can contact you. Okay, we have other information there, but in the event you want to put your email in there, by all means do so.
Thank you so very much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. And as you know, as we were talking earlier, this will be posted on YouTube, so you can actually
Great. Thank you.
Okay. Next, to do a presentation, we have Visions SBVI, that's Vision Services for the Blind and Visually Impaired. And the presenter will be Michael Cush, Senior Director of Workforce Development. Michael? Michael, do you hear me? Michael, you have to unmute. Can't hear you. There you go.
Can you hear me?
Now we can hear you, sir.
My apologies.
Not a problem.
Okay, good evening, everyone. And thank you for giving me this opportunity to present to the board. And thank you, Ryan. I'm a big fan of the Job Path and the services that they provide. And we've done some work with them in the past. But my name is Mike Cush. I am the Senior Director of Workforce Development at Vision Services. Vision Services for Blind and Visually Impaired has been around since 1926. We service clients throughout all 5 boroughs. Last year, we serviced nearly over 7,000 people in the New York metropolitan area and more than 1,000 people in Brooklyn. I myself was born in Park Slope and raised and still reside in Brooklyn. We have connections with the Brooklyn Chamber of Commerce as well as the Brooklyn Workforce One-Stop Centers. Visions is a social service rehabilitation non-for-profit organization where we service people of all ages who are blind and visually impaired, children, adults, and seniors. We have a senior center located in Chelsea, but it's open to people of all 5 boroughs. And it's the only senior center that specifically is designed for people with vision impairments, but we do allow all seniors to attend 60 and above. My role as the Senior Director of Workforce Development, I oversee our job development, job training, and job placement services. As part of our job development, we work on training clients in work readiness, soft skills, technology training. We also do work experience training and, of course, job placement. In the last 4 years, Visions was the #1 placement agency of all blindness agencies throughout New York State. We place more people in jobs than any other agency in the state of New York. Vision's funding primarily comes through foundation and government grants. And my department is funded mostly by the New York State Commission for the Blind, which is the sort of partner agency to Access VR. It's the New York State Voc Rehab Agency that receives money through the federal government through the Rehabilitation Services Administration. And we are contracted with them to provide these placement services. Visions has 3 locations. We have one in Manhattan, 2 in Manhattan, 1 in Chelsea, 1 in Soho. And then we also have a rehabilitation center located in Spring Valley, New York, in Rockland County. We provide services in the home and the community. Those services include orientation and mobility, vision rehab therapy, and social work. And while those services have been limited somewhat due to COVID, we have begun providing in-person services throughout Brooklyn and the outer boroughs, the other boroughs as well, and where we're trying to get back on track there. Some of the types of jobs that we've placed people in, we've placed people in social work positions, retail, finance. We just placed somebody at a agency near the Brooklyn Navy Yard as a software engineer, making over 6 figures. We developed partnerships with Health and Hospital, 1199, Northwood Health, and Amazon, where we've placed a number of people as warehouse associates at their facilities in Brooklyn, Staten Island, Queens, and Long Island. Oh, in the Bronx. Just to give you kind of example of some of the people that we serve, we had a woman in her late 50s who was coming to this country from another country and was new to vision loss and was trying to kind of find her way and decide what career path to go. She was a teacher back in her home country, but didn't feel or didn't have the credentials here, and felt like she was having a hard time trying to start all over. We connected her with a warehouse associate position at Amazon in Staten Island. She traveled from Jamaica, Queens to Staten Island every day, 5 days a week. And nearly 2 years later, she's still working on the floor. And she's about 60, and she's one of the quickest producing associates that they have. And as you know, Amazon wants you to move quick. They want everybody to get their boxes in 1, 2, 3 days, whenever possible. That was one success story that's kind of recent that came to mind. Recently, due to COVID, the job market has shifted and it's become a bit more volatile, but we're still placing people in jobs. We've placed several people as contact tracers. We've placed a couple of people in the healthcare industry, Amazon, and a couple of case management positions. So our clientele more or less varies. It's representative of New York. We have clients who have little to no education, clients who have bachelor's degrees, master's degrees, advanced degrees, PhDs. And again, they're ranging in adult ages from 20 to, I think our oldest job seeker right now is currently 74. And that's pretty much my presentation. If you guys have any questions, I'd love to hear them.
Thank you, Mike. I appreciate that. Mr. Kush, just out of curiosity, who else are you affiliated with as far as associations within the area?
You mean partners, the agencies that we partner with?
Yes, sir.
So all Chamber of Commerce, several of the business improvement districts, the Workforce One centers. We have other employer partners, Google, Facebook, LIJ, and a number of other partners.
Okay. And once again, I'm going to ask you the same question I asked Mr. Finger. If I had an individual who's interested in getting involved in your program, how would they go about doing it?
So they can reach out to me directly. I can drop my contact info in the chat when we're done. And we would try to get them connected with the New York State Commission for the Blind and Visually Impaired, so that they can receive other services, not just job placement.
Okay.
And then we would open up their case.
Okay. And once a case is open, okay, what is the procedure from there? I mean, is there training involved? Is there other things, assessments? How exactly would they
Sure.
go about getting involved?
So we would do an assessment. We do a very thorough assessment to get a sense of what type of work they want, what's their background, what's their experience, and what hard skills they may have, or maybe if somebody's looking for a job in customer service but they only type 12 words a minute, then we're going to have to work on getting them some additional computer training, or maybe redirecting them to a different career path if that's not the best thing. But yeah, we'd start the process right away and then make whatever recommendations a person might need. A lot of our clients are new to vision loss, either from accidents, unfortunately, or age-related conditions. So they themselves aren't too sure what kind of work they're able to do as somebody with legal blindness.
Okay. Fair enough. Is there any other questions from any of the committee members?
I know we spoke about this with the other presenter, but maybe you can speak to what your wait list is like at this point, for individuals looking for services.
So we don't have a wait list per se. I have a department of 6. There's 6 of us that work on my team, and there would be no wait list to be seen or to be met with or virtually met with at this point. It may take a few days, but again, we'd want to open up their case with the New York State Commission for the Blind so that they can get all comprehensive services. But in terms of moving the process along, it would start pretty quickly.
Lindsay, any other questions? Okay. Latrell,
Yeah.
I see. Yeah, I just noticed you unmuted yourself.
I have a question. For people who don't know, can you explain the Commission for the Blind and what exactly they do and the process? So is it a long process to get involved with them, or is it a short process?
Sure. It's relatively quick. They've kind of streamlined their process now, and they even are opening cases virtually. So the process is you'd contact them. They would send you an application, or I think it's even online now. But they would send you an electronic application. Yes, thank you. And you would meet with a counselor. They'd want to see an eye report to make sure you're eligible, that you fall into the category of legal blindness, which is 20/200 with breast correction, with an acuity field of view less than 20%. It's probably, I've opened or referred clients to be opened during the pandemic, and it's generally within 30 days.
And from my understanding, with the Commission for the Blind, they assign you by, is it still by borough, whatever borough you live in? Or
So yeah, there's two district offices in Manhattan. The downtown office covers Brooklyn. So yeah,
I don't
they have
hear, I'm
catchments.
sorry.
Can you hear me? Sorry. So they're downtown. Yeah, there are two offices within the five boroughs. I'm sorry. The downtown Manhattan office covers Brooklyn, Lower Manhattan, Staten Island, and then the uptown office covers Manhattan, Queens, and the Bronx. So yeah, it's broken down by location geographically.
Okay, I believe we lost Latrell.
Oh,
Okay, so, but thank you very much. We have your information, and if there's any other questions, we'll have people please approach through the board office, and we'll forward those questions on, or they can reach
I
out to you
appreciate it.
directly. Okay, thank
Thank
you,
you so
Mike.
much.
I
Thanks.
appreciate it. Okay, thank you very much
My pleasure.
for coming to our meeting.
Pleasure.
See now, we're now going to continue with the agenda. Okay, next on the agenda, okay, is chairperson's report. Okay, so let me get started here on the chairperson's report. Currently, right now, as of last month, the presenter, Cinch Market, is getting a lot of attention and enrollments for deliveries and also new store signups. So, sorry, and new store signups. So that's actually quite a response that we're seeing from that. A lot of people were interested, and I, of course, also signed up for it because I've been doing a lot of ordering online and having delivered. Okay, now, in addition to that, the district needs. Okay, I'm sure we're all interested in that. Currently, right now, the executive committee actually sat down and we voted on the top 40 budget requests that were listed after we did the um, selections from the entire board members. And we also decided to go with the top 25 capital expenditures. The chair will make the final decision with the help of the board office. If there's anything that we can actually see combined, okay, that's what the board office and the chair will do. Okay, and after that, they'll give us their final uh, list that we're going to be approaching with. Do we have anything as of yet, Taya, as far as that we're looking at? Oh, we do.
We do, and if you give me a couple minutes, I could actually share that if you're interested.
Not a problem. Okay, I'll just continue with the report,
Yep.
and when you get a chance, by all means. Okay. Okay, so that's the good news. We had quite a few items on there, by the way. In addition to that, on October 22nd, I'm on the CLS board, and we had a board of directors meeting. We also had a finance report and a report in regards to the Downtown Brooklyn Partnership. One of the things we wanted to find out, or at least I wanted to know, was how the bids are actually doing with current circumstances being what they are. And this is what we actually saw. As far as the COVID response is concerned, um, there's been an outreach to all the businesses, small businesses, for the small business support programs, and also they also reached out for PPE resources for a lot of these small businesses need this information. Also, Downtown Brooklyn Partnership also have webinars. Some of those webinars are about New York City's open restaurants plan. They explain to them exactly how that works and the procedures involved in that. They also mentioned the All in New York City, and that's a neighborhood gateway. That's for marketing programs to promote and support these businesses that are currently looking at the circumstances with COVID. They also did the virtual Cube and Legal Consulting Center. What that was basically was it was a webinar that was actually uh, something that was held with webinar held with Brooklyn Law School and the Center for Urban Business and Enterprises. They're basically letting them know what their um, what legal options they had as far as going forward. Now, the other thing that we're looking at is the real estate in downtown Brooklyn. Currently, right now, there are 27 projects under construction, and 27 of those projects, 27 more projects are in the pipeline. Since 2004, we've had 115 projects completed after the rezoning. Now, right now, commercial vacancy rates have increased by 10 to 10.8% from 10.8% to 13.1%. So there has been an increase in vacancies in downtown Brooklyn. Interestingly enough, rents have gone up. Okay, from $49.05 to $49.50 a square foot. Okay, so they've actually gone up, not tremendously, but they have gone up. And by the way, throughout all the boroughs, we've seen a decrease in the vacancy rates, and also actually in other boroughs, we've seen a decrease in the rents. So it's
Bill,
interesting that, yes,
quick question. What period are you talking about that these changes occurred?
currently right now we're looking at since COVID actually has occurred.
Oh,
We're
so this
looking
is
at
just over the last, since like March. Okay,
yes, okay,
thanks.
okay. So this is basically on COVID. This is what we're looking at right now.
Thank you.
Okay. The rental market is down by 19%.
Hmm.
Okay, so that's what we're looking at as far as the rental market is concerned. As far as retail, they canvassed 375 businesses in the area. Of those, 79% are still in operation. 9% are temporarily closed, and 12% are permanently closed. So that's the circumstances right now that we're looking at in the area as far as business is concerned. In addition to that, on October 14th, Wegmans Food Market celebrated 1 year as of October 27th. They've actually donated 170,000 pounds of food to neighboring communities. So that's where we are right now. So one of the other things I'm going to suggest is this. Once we discover exactly what we're looking at as far as which items have been finalized for the district needs, I like to focus on the items that were not, okay, and start reaching out directly and doing our outreach now to the different agencies. Taya, do you have the list for us? There it is.
I do. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, so let me just give you, I'll offer a quick overview of this chart because the format might be a little bit unfamiliar. It's different from the way you were working in committee. So we had to divide I think in the end I think there were 87 total requests submitted by the 6 committees of CB2. We divided them into capital requests and expense requests. So board members, I will drop a link to this spreadsheet in the chat, which you'll be able to see. You will not be able to open the link if you are not a board member. This is the full list of capital expenses ranking in column B. And you'll note that we were allowed to submit up to 40 capital requests, but we only had 28 actually. So there was no deliberation required there for the expenses. We had to cut it down to a list, and we did it a little, and we came out in the end with 26. So the index of the City Office of Planning is slightly different from the 6 committee titles. So I have to get this Webex window out of the way. Just to quickly review the index that you might have fallen under: healthcare and human services, there is public safety and emergency services, transportation, youth education and child welfare, housing, economic development, and land use, which is where most of this committee's requests ended up, and parks, cultural, and other community facilities, and finally, core infrastructure, city services, and resiliency. So obviously we don't have a corresponding committee for that. So if we look at HEDLU, I'll scroll through this list a bit slower. There are a bunch of fields to the right that you don't have to worry about. I'm sure you will recognize some of these. So just keeping in mind that the total board score fell in column C. And I'm sure you'll recognize quite a few of these. Housing, incubator. Oh, those were the capacity requests, and now these are the expense requests. So most of these came out of your committee. And I believe this was also the largest chapter index for us. Yep, there were 14 submitted here. So again, I will stop sharing unless you want to look at something in particular, Bill, and I will have links to this in the chat.
For right now, just put it in the chat and the committee will review it, and I'm sure we'll be discussing it next committee meeting.
Sure. And just to give some context, I'll also offer the link where you can see the published version of FY21, which was last year's.
Thank you.
No problem.
Okay.
Hey, Bill, can I ask a couple questions?
Sure, by all means. Go, Lindsay.
So, based on our previous success, or rather lack of success, in getting some of the things that we've requested, I'm just curious about the strategy, like why focus on the things that weren't prioritized rather than trying to advocate for the things that were prioritized.
We can do both, okay? But as far as a committee is concerned, I'd like to go after the things that were not, okay? As a community board, we will actually advocate for things that are. Did that answer your question, Lucy?
A little bit. Is there any sense of what the strategy will be to advocate for the things that were prioritized, or is that strategy to be developed, and who is it to be developed by?
I'm assuming that's going to be developed by the board office and also by the chair.
Is there any way we can follow up on that rather than assuming? Because I think in previous years there hasn't been any advocacy on the items that have been prioritized.
What I'll do is I'll reach out at the executive committee meeting and determine what that procedure is going to be.
Sounds good.
Lindsay,
So
that's a
connection.
really good question that I appreciate. And sorry, I was just typing. I'm going to actually share screen really quickly to show you from the Office of Planning what the annual timeline is for this. And just to say that we've already started some discussions in the district office. We realized that the good and the bad of remote work is that actually it enabled a lot more participation this year than in previous years. So we're going to be taking some of the things that worked well this year and revamping the process next year. We completely agree that there are many opportunities to increase discussion in different phases.
Okay, any other discussion for committee members? Okay,
So,
I want to,
Bill? So,
yes.
I just want to add in a little bit that you were discussing in your report. And there was a MetroTech bid meeting, and a few things were discussed there. And I'll skip over some of the stuff that you already covered, but I just wanted to add that 80% of businesses in the MetroTech bids are now open. The Atlantic Terminal and Atlantic Center, all stores have reopened, and there's about, it's not what it was, but there's 150,000 foot traffic per week now at those centers. And the busway on J Street is getting built. The pedestrian traffic in the bid area, MetroTech bid area, is about 50%, which is up from 2%, which it was in April. So it's coming up. There's a couple of restaurants that opened in the City Point, what do you call it? The marketplace there. And they're doing constant deep cleanings and making sure that everything is up to CB's standards. There's going to be new holiday lights in the MetroTech bid, and they're extending it a little further along Flatbush Avenue this year, Flatbush Avenue extended this year. The Indigo and Aloft hotels are currently temporarily used for the homeless. In arts and culture, it's definitely not open yet, but they're doing a lot of live streaming. And for dancers, dancers can get, what do you call it? They can reserve dance, dance rehearsal time. They sign up for it. About 100, no, I'm sorry, about 1,000, oh God, I can't say this. 1/3 is what it is. 1/3 of the NYU students are back in person. And let's see, there's about 100,000 jobs that are back in the district, with more if you count in the outdoor dining. And the bid supplied meals for our heroes at the Brooklyn Hospital. So that was really a wonderful thing that they did. Leasing, I think you talked about it a little, and Brookfield said basically it's slow. It's very slow leasing properties. And that, I'm going to say, is about it that I have.
Great. Thank you, Ron. I appreciate that. If you can continue giving these reports as they come about, I appreciate that. Now, you did mention that City Point, the food court, has opened.
Yes, it's open, and there's a couple new restaurants. One of the restaurants, and I mean, it's good that there's a new restaurant there, but it's bad that it replaced a restaurant. So there's not a net gain. The restaurant, the Italian restaurant, and it was pretty good. I ate there a couple times. Fortina, I think it was.
Yes.
Yeah.
I've eaten there myself. Yes.
Yeah, and they were pretty good. Well, they're now called Mizion or something like that, and it's sort of Middle Eastern food now.
Okay. So, but as far as the different stores that have opened up, how many stores have reopened in general? Do you know?
Well, I don't have a total of how many, but most in City Point have reopened.
Okay, excellent. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Okay, as far as I'm concerned, my report is now complete. Taya, you mentioned you actually posted something in the chat, or you actually shared something earlier.
Yes, regarding the statement of needs?
Yes.
Yes.
You were giving
Those
the
are,
schedule?
oh, sure. Well, I just closed it. Let me find it again.
Okay.
I was actually sharing it while Ron was speaking. My apologies. I can find it again.
If you could post that in the chat or send it to the committee members, I'd appreciate that.
Yes, it's in chat.
Okay.
And here, if you can see this, it is again. So this is the schedule provided to us by the Office of City Planning. And I have an email that might have even more info.
Okay, so the preliminary budget will be in January. So we have between now and January to have a discussion with them, I'm assuming.
So could you say it again, Bill?
I said the preliminary budget is going to be published in January. And I'm
Correct.
assuming that we're going to be having an opportunity to have discussions with them between now and January.
No. So the submission on Friday was the final submission, and now we just wait patiently. They will issue responses to us, and then we issue responses to the capital plan and the strategy in February. But there is not really an open commentary period for the community board SDNBR.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so
Can I ask a question about the timeline and process?
sure,
Yeah.
Lindsay, by all means.
So, what's the role right now of the borough president's office? So, like, every community board in their district has submitted their requests. Do they ever advocate on behalf of their board's priorities? And what about the city council members from our districts as well? Like, what are the relationship between those
Sure. So,
officials?
Lindsay, you actually may be more informed than I am because this is my first year going through this process from this end. I don't know if you know that I just started in March. With
I'm
my,
sorry, and I don't mean to press you. I
oh no,
know the
not at all.
answers. I'm being a little bit I'm just being a little like, let's follow up with them kind of without
Yeah,
saying it.
no,
Yeah.
I love your gentle advocacy. I think a part that is germane to what you just asked was that the borough president's office arranges for us to have borough-wide agency consultations, which happens between August and October. Those are typically not open to the entire board. They're typically open to district office. But I believe, and in discussion with staff, we think that there are some ways that that process could be opened up so that there's a little more transparency there. Because that seems to be, to my first year perspective, the best opportunity to ask specific agency heads really specific questions that would help shape the requests in committee.
I guess I'm also wondering if there's an opportunity for us to work more closely with the borough office on this and do some strategy sessions ahead of those meetings. Because I think it would I think based on the constraints of this year's budget in particular, I know that past years' lack of success has been pretty discouraging, and this year is going to be more difficult than others based on budget cuts that are happening. And so I'm just curious if we should maybe take the opportunity to strategize a little bit more than we have in the past,
I
especially
am,
since we seem more organized this year, you know?
I am going to make sure that that is brought up at the next staff meeting next Tuesday. So I'm writing it down right now.
Okay. And Lizzie, I've
You're
actually been
awesome. I appreciate you.
at
I'm sorry, Bill. I
Lizzie.
cut you off.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's no problem. That's no problem. Lizzie, I've actually been at some of these meetings as a individual who's just watching what goes on. And usually, what happens is there's an individual from the from the board office who's actually there and listening in on the actual process.
Hmm.
So it's something that I would definitely like to see us be more involved in, but uh, we'll find out what we can do going forward.
And I think there's also an opportunity, though, with the elected officials to do some advocacy on behalf of some of these issues, especially with our city council members. Um,
That's
I think,
mhm.
yeah.
That's the path I want to go down to, Lindsay. Exactly.
Okay, I got both of those down. Thanks so much, Lindsay.
Mhm. Okay. Is there any other business currently right now the committee wants to bring up? Okay. This is a time for a community forum. Okay, at the community forum, if anyone who is not a member of the committee would like to, or a committee member would like to bring up something right now, this is the time to do it.
Hey, Bill, and I know Denise isn't here, but maybe on next week's agenda, we should talk about bringing the unemployment fair virtual and discuss.
Yeah, I had asked her to do it this month, but unfortunately she couldn't attend.
Awesome. Okay.
Okay.
You're always 10 steps ahead, Bill.
I have to with you, Lindsay. Okay. With that, did everyone get a chance to read the minutes from October? Are there any corrections that anyone's noticed or would suggest? Okay, seeing none, I'm assuming that we're going to accept the minutes as written. We'll do that by ascension. Okay. With that, if there's no other business to discuss, I will entertain a motion to adjourn. Okay. Mr. Kearney, just out of curiosity, before we adjourn, I'm sorry, I apologize. Did you want to say anything? Okay, I take that as a no. Okay, excellent. Okay, with that, we'll close the meeting. The meeting is adjourned. Time now is 7:14. Thank you very much, everyone who's been here. And we'll go into more detail one-on-one later on.